The pregnant woman took off her underwear, and a sharp, foul odor filled the room. The midwife immediately covered her nose, but the woman didn't seem to care. She urged the midwife to hurry up and examine her. The midwife fought through her discomfort, pulled a blanket over the woman, put on gloves, and took a deep breath. She prepared to perform a pelvic exam, but the moment the woman spread her legs, the stench grew even stronger. The midwife nearly threw up. Still, she forced herself to reach in and check.
You reckon I got a dose, don't you?
I'll have to check with someone more senior.
The midwife scrubbed her hands over and over. An older nurse saw her and calmly said, "Her symptoms look a lot like syphilis. The baby may already be infected too." The midwife looked confused, but she doesn't seem to care at all. The older nurse sighed. She grew up in an orphanage. Her husband's never around, always out messing around. She's probably never even known what it feels like to be cared for. A few days later, the woman came in for a follow-up, bringing her 2 sons. The boys suddenly peed on the floor and laughed as he stomped in it. The other pregnant women nearby were clearly disgusted.
Yeah, I know. We're toilet training him, but it's all right. You ain't got no pants to wear.
To avoid disturbing others, the midwife decided to bring penicillin to the woman's home and treat her there. She hoped the woman would have her husband treated too, but the woman just gave a bitter smile and said, "He's the one who gave me syphilis. Then he took all the money and ran off with his mistress. Left me here with 2 kids and nothing." One day, the woman found the mistress. Fueled by anger, she slapped her across the face, but she was pregnant and weak, and was quickly knocked to the ground and beaten. When the police arrived, the woman's clothes were torn. The midwife, seeing her like that, immediately took off her own coat and wrapped it around her. Weeks passed, and the woman never came back for a checkup, even though her due date was near. The midwife went to her home. She opened the door and saw the woman slumped on the sofa, pale and hollow-eyed. The woman spoke in a faint voice, "The baby's gone." The fight triggered labor. Even though she could barely stand, she got up and poured the midwife a cup of water. Maybe she knew the midwife found her dirty. She used a brand new cup. The midwife was just about to sit down, but the woman gently stopped her.
The little fella weed on it. Bet you think we're all slatterns round here, don't you?
As a matter of fact, I think you're all heroines.
The pregnant woman had her stockings pulled off by her husband. He showed off her pregnant figure to his friends. She looked embarrassed but couldn't refuse. After the party, her husband showed no remorse. He even pressured her to take the initiative to please him. When she didn't clearly say no, he actually walked over to act on it. But when she rejected him, he got furious.
"I'm going down the dock road. There's girls down there who'll give it to me better than you ever did for a 10-bob note. Some of them will do it for a gin and orange or a snake bite."
Grabbed her, threw her to the ground. The woman struggled to get up, only to see her son sitting on the stairs.
It's all right, Mickey.
The next day, when the midwife came to take the boy for an eye exam, the woman realized he was gone, and so were the boxing gloves. It turned out the husband had taken the boy to a boxing gym. When the woman arrived at the gym, she saw her son lying on the ring floor. Her heart broke. For years, she had silently endured her husband's violence and control, but now he had hurt their son. This time, she couldn't stay silent. She went to the police, but the police were in a tough spot. What the men did wasn't technically illegal. At most, they could give a verbal warning. When the men found out, he exploded. "The cops scolded me in front of my boys. They made me look like a fool." The woman couldn't hold back and said coldly, "You're just a coward." Those words stabbed deep. Pinned her down, and locked the bedroom door, ignoring her pregnant body and desperate screams. Night fell, but the men never came home.
It's all right, baby. It's all right. I promise you.
Mummy, when are you coming out? Mummy!
The woman had already given birth to 24 children, and now she was pregnant again. The nurse tried to estimate her due date based on her last period.
She ain't had none of them in years. She's had all the babies one after the other.
The nurse wanted to explain some precautions to Jenny, but the man interrupted, saying Jenny was more experienced than any midwife. One day, while Jenny was hanging clothes, she tripped over a toy and hit her head hard on a rock, passing out. When the midwife arrived, Jenny had lost control, screaming like a wild animal. Her husband said he had never seen her like that before. The midwife believed Jenny had a concussion and didn't realize she was in labor, which made the pain terrifying for her. But the baby was coming, and they had to deliver it quickly. Suddenly, Jenny broke free and thrashed violently on the bed. Even 2 adults couldn't restrain her. When Jenny finally calmed down, the baby was born safe, but Jenny lay completely still, frozen. The midwife shook her head in sorrow. Her oldest daughter burst into tears. The other children were heartbroken when they heard the news. Jenny was going into shock due to heavy bleeding. Her pulse grew weaker and weaker. They covered her with multiple blankets to keep her warm while waiting for the doctor to arrive. Suddenly, Jenny opened her eyes.
This time, baby.
No, baby.
It was as if she had heard her baby's voice. The baby's tiny feet started to move.
Wrap him up. He'll be so cold.
The midwife quickly wrapped the baby in a blanket and placed it in Jenny's arms. But before Jenny could feel the joy, she fainted again from blood loss. At that critical moment, the medical team finally arrived.
The pregnant woman had syphilis. When she took off her underwear, a foul smell filled the room. The midwife immediately covered her nose, but the woman didn't care at all, and urged the nurse to hurry up and examine her. But when the woman spread her legs, the stench hit again. The nurse almost threw up her lunch, but managed to hold it in. Then the nurse braced herself and reached inside. She felt many lumps of different sizes. The midwife asked if she had noticed them. Jenny said she didn't care. The midwife was shocked.
You reckon I got a dose, don't you?
She quickly took off her gloves and rushed out of the room, running to the sink and scrubbing her hands furiously. An older nurse saw her and said, "Syphilis doesn't spread through skin contact, but the baby inside can still be infected." The midwife couldn't understand why the woman seemed so indifferent to her illness. The older nurse explained, "She's been an orphan since she was a child. Her husband never comes home. She's never known what it means to be loved. She doesn't know how to love herself, let alone anyone else. She doesn't even care when her own children pee on the floor."
It's all right, you ain't got no pants to wear.
To protect the other pregnant women, the midwife brought penicillin to Jenny's home and tried to convince her husband to get treated too. Jenny said it was her husband who gave her the disease. He took all their money and ran off with another woman, leaving her with 2 sons. One day, Jenny found the mistress and slapped her right across the face, but because she was pregnant, the other woman quickly pinned her to the ground and beat her. Just in time, the police arrived and saved Jenny. The midwife saw her clothes were torn, so she borrowed a jacket from the police and helped her put it on. The next day, Jenny lost the baby due to the fight and the disease. When the midwife arrived at her home, she saw Jenny lying weakly on the couch. Jenny struggled to stand and poured the midwife a cup of tea. She knew the midwife might think she was dirty, so she made sure to use a clean and used cup. As the nurse was about to sit down, Jenny stopped her.
The little fella weed on it. Bet you think we're all slatterns round here, don't you?
As a matter of fact, I think you're all heroines.
The pregnant woman was about to give birth, but her boss still forced her to work. To protect her child, Jenny decided to run away from that place. She didn't know how long she had been walking, but she was starving. That's when she saw a well-dressed lady. Jenny walked up, hoping she could help exchange some money, but the girl warily refused. Jenny quickly rushed forward to stop her. She pleaded with the midwife to give her some food. Seeing Jenny stroke her belly, the midwife suddenly realized she was pregnant. Out of sympathy, she finally agreed to take Jenny to eat. From their conversation, the midwife learned that Jenny was only 15 years old. She hadn't eaten in 3 days. Jenny was very grateful for the midwife's help. However, when the midwife mentioned the baby in her belly, Jenny became very nervous. After the meal, when the midwife was about to leave, Jenny made another request. Looking at the pitiful pregnant girl, the midwife finally softened, but she could only let her stay there until 4 in the morning. Facing the midwife's concern, Jenny told the truth. It turned out that when she was very young, she had been tricked into working at a brothel. She had to deal with many men every day, to the point where she didn't even know who the father of her child was. She chose to escape in order to protect her baby. Early the next morning, Jenny was sent to a shelter. The priest had seen many girls like her. Jenny's situation was something the midwife could never have imagined. They faced not only material poverty.
Poverty isn't bad housing, dirty clothing, families of 10. It's never having been loved or even respected.
Jenny successfully settled into the rescue center. For the first time, she felt she was being treated kindly. The midwife was also happy to have changed a girl's fate. However, after one checkup, she discovered that Jenny was still in contact with the outside world. When the priest found out, he was furious. He decided to send Jenny away.